It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
It's official. The U of M came out with a statement today. Mikey Williams is enrolled in school, but he will not be allowed in facilities or any participation with any of the team activities until he is cleared by a court. Of course, that court date doesn't come until October, but the university, I guess, felt compelled finally to issue a statement today, and therefore they did, and therefore we found out he is absolutely, I'm guessing he's taking these classes online, which is probably exactly what DeAndre Williams is doing, because you got to be in class, right? And I guess if you're DeAndre, you don't worry about dropping it if you don't get eligibility. But if you get eligibility, hello. You're taking online, you're eligible to play, and on we go to whenever we find out. But we do know now for sure, no Mikey Williams in the University of Memphis near future here. I would imagine he could come on as a second semester guy, right? I mean, if he gets cleared, he's in class, he could start, once he's cleared, practicing with the team. I hear a bunch of people, even nationally, they're like bashing it, that there's the feeling Memphis should have separated themselves from him. I think there's a presumption of innocence until proven guilty. So I don't know why you would turn your back on this kid who continues to say the way the events unfolded in San Diego are being presented, that is not the way they really came down. So I think the guy deserves his time in court, and this is what always gets me too. These guys are human beings, right? So I hear one guy in particular who writes about this, in fact, who's saying he's not even a four-star. I mean, he's the most overrated four-star guy. Why would you want to help him, pretty much? Well, because the guy's a human being. He's trying to be a student athlete, smart enough to be a social influencer that's made a lot of money. Maybe in the end he'll be a very productive human being. And so why would you turn your back on the kid that committed to you when he could have committed many other places? Then this incident occurred until you know. And that's what the whole judicial system is based upon. So I think Mikey Williams deserves every opportunity to clear himself. And if he doesn't clear himself and he has to do jail time, then the school, I think by rule, by law, by academic standards, whatever is written in place for the university guidelines, would say that a guy that is, although you could probably do online courses while in prison if that were the case. So I don't know. I'm just saying to you, I wouldn't deny this guy the education he's supposed to get. I don't know. I guess until he's guilty, you would have to honor the scholarship offer you gave him.
Maybe so. I mean, I like what you said, that why would you keep him around? He's not that good a player. Well, because he's a person.
Right.
I mean, and you should care. And as a coach, you should care about the people. Like, Coach Prime says that all the time, is I'm trying to develop people into young men, be respectable young men in society. But furthermore, if you just want to look at it from like a political perspective of being a college recruiter, why wouldn't you distance yourself from this guy? Because that could be used against you by other coaches as well to say, he clearly didn't care about the people he's recruiting. Look what he did the minute something came up negatively.
That's very true. But I'm not. Obviously that's a very good point, and one of the first things you ever think about is, Penny's got to protect himself because he's going to try to recruit other four-star guys, and if he cuts them, Bill Self is going to say, "Look what they did to him in Memphis," right? But I don't want to go there with that because my principle on this is the kid is innocent until proven guilty, and he still wants to be a part of the team. He's a guy. He's a human being. He's enrolled in classes. He keeps tweeting when he tweets that he wants to be a part of this. Why would you deny that guy that that honor until he's proven guilty, and then it's a different ballgame. And by guideline, it might be a different ballgame. And I don't know what the rules or the standards or legalities are for the University of Memphis. That's probably a fair question to ask Penny at some point. But at this point, that's not it. But the university was compelled today to make that statement. So we know for sure Mikey Williams, until he's cleared, will not be a part of any of the activities, but we do know he is enrolled in school. Still no word on DeAndre Williams. Jason Munz is going to join us at 10:25. Our friend Andy Schiffman is going to be off this week. He's taking a little vacay, well-deserved, and so we'll have our good friend Jason Munz, beat writer for the Commercial Appeal, on with us. That will be on Friday at 10:25. Busy show today. Steve Eric joins us in about 5 minutes or so. Brett Norsworthy on the SEC, and so is Ron Higgins. We got heavy SEC after we talk with Mr. Earhart on today's program. I was sad yesterday. Brooks Robinson, who in my day, and the Cubs had Ron Santo, really when I was young, and the White Sox were in the World Series. In 59, they had a guy named Bubba Phillips. But there have always been good third basemen in my era. Mike Schmidt was a great third baseman. I guarantee you, the guy that precedes me, that would be Greg Gaston, big Phillies fan. I guarantee you he worshipped Mike Schmidt, who was a great hitter and a great third baseman. But in my lifetime, the greatest third baseman of all time was Brooks Robinson. The human vacuum cleaner is what they called him. I always tried, because I played a lot of third base in my youth, to emulate him, particularly going behind the bag, backhanded at third. He won 16 consecutive Gold Gloves. 16 in a row at third base. To me, he defined the position. Sparky Anderson, Cincinnati Big Red Machine, who they beat in the World Series. Other opposing managers always basically said he defined that position. And, they swept the Los Angeles Dodgers with Drysdale and Koufax. That was either late 60s, early 70s, can't remember which. He was incredible in that game. 18 times he was an All-Star. 18 times. 16 consecutive Gold Gloves, 18 All-Stars. 2 World Series titles, the 64 MVP. You know where he was born? Little Rock, Arkansas, and he never sort of lost his twang, although he became a fixture of Baltimore, Maryland. But I think the greatest third baseman that I have ever witnessed. And he passed away. He had a good life, 86 years of age. I don't know how the end was. Looked a little scruffy in some of the pictures. But apparently he was one gentleman, one really nice guy. All I saw was the player on the field. I never saw off the field. But I can tell you this. I heard African-American players, and this is in the 60s when things were still pretty rough on the major league players that were black in MLB. And he apparently was an opening arm inclusive guy. So I'm sorry for the loss to the Brooks Robinson family. I'm sorry for me, because I saw the Cubs explode yesterday at a 6-0 lead. They're still up 6-5, bottom of the 8th, and there's a pop-up to right field. There's 2 men on. Cubs are going to get out of the inning with a 6-5 lead, and their right fielder, 5-time Gold Glover in Japan. What is it, Seiya Suzuki? Seiya Suzuki. Seiya calls the center fielder off. I got this. Inning's over. We're still going to lead 6-5. They led 6-0. And he misses the ball. He just flat out missed the ball like a little leaguer. And I'm talking about the lower levels of the little leaguers, because the guys that play in Pennsylvania in the Little League World Series would have made that catch. Pop up right field. Cubs are out of the inning. Good job by the relief pitcher. Suzuki drops the ball. 2-run score. Cubs lose. They blow a 6-0 lead, lose 7-6. In my mind, the Suzuki drop Not quite like the Bartman incident. But the Suzuki drop is the end of the Cubs' playoff chances. I hate to say it. It's not in stone. Maybe they turn around and take the next 2 from the Braves. But my gut tells me that dropped the Cubs from postseason play. We shall see. And then, J-Mo, yeah, I must say I feel old every day. Although I'm not as old as our next guest, Steve Earhart, who's coming up here. But I'm feeling older every day. I'm listening to Greg and Eli and Zach Boyd, and they're talking, I guess, song titles,
right?
Best song titles, and they start talking about these rap songs and old school rap guys. Wow, and I don't recognize one song or one artist. And then Zach Boyd says, oh, yeah, he's really old school. He was like 1988, and I wasn't on Earth yet. And then I realized, this is why I don't know any of these guys. In 1935, when he's not on the planet yet, I'm already old. I'm 35.
Different generations of radio.
My goodness, it's crazy. And so that's why I'm asking you, a younger generation. I am amazed at the interest. Seriously. I am confounded, perplexed, whatever adjective you want to use, on our interest, really, infatuation with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Like the Today Show does something on it every single day now.
Up to the minute.
But this is nuts. Everybody's into it. I don't understand it. Do you listen to this? Kansas City jersey sales. Do you know how much they're up?
I saw some crazy percentage.
400%.
That's right.
Just because she likes the team and she's dating the guy? Wait a second. The broadcast of the game with the Bears. It is embarrassing what happened there. They had the most watched game of the weekend. This was 34-0 at the half. The most watched game of the weekend, all because she's in the press box. 24.3 million. Most watched. By the way, the audience was 8% higher with females 12 to 17. The game for the Jets, the ticket sales in New York, up 200%, just because she might be going. What? Explain this to me, J-Mo.
I can't. They're already digging the Swifties, as they're called. They're digging into Travis Kelce. Is Taylor in danger? Because in the preseason, Travis Kelce punched one of his teammates at practice. Is that a bad sign for Taylor going forward in their relationship?
Does he hit a teammate?
Because he hit a teammate. Does he have fists of rage? That's what they're saying. I tell you what, I've got a bold take for you. Didn't expect to say this today, but I'll tell you right now, I think it's a fake relationship. The day after the Chiefs play on Thursday Night Football, Taylor Swift's big movie tour streams on Amazon. I think it's orchestrated by Amazon to put the two of them together. You saw him walking out of the arena. It didn't look like they were two lovey-dovey people that just met his parents. You know, they would be holding hands or doing some kind of gesture of romantic gesture of some kind. There was nothing. They didn't even look like they liked each other. I think it's all staged, Dave.
See, you're not the first. They mentioned that possibility on the Today Show, that it's a mock relationship.
I think it is.
Wow.
We're on to something.
I'd say we're stumbling to their depths now, this thing. All I know is she's had a lot of boyfriends since she became a star. So I would say the over-under on this relationship can't be more than 6 months anyway, all right?
Between the two of them, their average length of relationship is like 4 months. So, yeah, you're right. It's not going to last very long.
We set the thing at 5 months is probably a fair bet.
That's
we'll get
right.
it on both sides.
That's right.
All right. That's crazy. Wait, we gotta talk with our friend Steve Earhart in a minute. I let everybody know I'm in the Family Leisure Studio. Don't forget the world's biggest spa sale. It's back and bigger than ever before. 50 different models to choose from, 5 different manufacturers. It's all happening at I-40 and Whidden Road. That is the world's biggest spa sale. And this portion of our show brought to you by Conway. Conway services heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, a cold shower. That's no way to start your day. Purchase a new water heater from the pros at Conway. It's simple. Call 384-3511. Mention us. And you can get new technology 2 ways. One, new, more efficient tanked water heaters, which are cool. And that's a way to go. but I go upgrade a little more. I get the newest technology. I get the tankless, where you save money on your energy bill because you're only heating the water you use. And the greatest part is, I don't care if you have gas and you're using a washing machine, you're using your dishwasher all at the same time, you never run out of hot water. Ever. Never run out of hot water. And if you call 384-3511, you may be eligible for $2,000 in federal tax credits. Please call my friends at Conway. Let's head cross town. Let's talk with the Big Cheese, the head honcho of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl yesterday, or last week, I should say. He was very vociferous in his yearning for an updated Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium where the AutoZone Liberty Bowl is played. And we are here a week later wondering, as the Tigers get ready to play Boise, do we have any new news? Because I believe, isn't there going to be a presentation, or there needs to be a presentation if you want to really break ground on the remodel after the AutoZone Liberty Bowl? There is a meeting in October with the council that has to be a part of this. What's the latest? Steve Earhart, good morning.
Good morning, and I think you hit it right on the head, David. I think it does not go to the city council. It's in the mayor's hands at this point, but all indications are that we do need to get started on the Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium right after our game, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. The 65th edition is on December 29th this year, Friday afternoon. So hopefully they'll be able to start here on January 2nd and get going on it. And I think the key thing, and I think for the public to understand, is that the bones of the stadium are great. The sight lines are so close to the field, but it is antiquated in certain areas of I guess the infrastructure there, the press box, the suite areas, the concourses, that kind of thing we need to keep updated. And Tiger fans who went up to St. Louis saw that the building up there, the dome, how they've kept it up. They're actually putting money into it right now. They're doing several hundred. I think it was $200 million.
New turf, I'll tell you that. That turf's 8 years old. It looks like it's 80.
Yeah, well, they're working on that. But I do think that this is a great weekend to look back and talk about the stadium, and it does need that work. But I think all the fans out there, they ought to turn out for this great game here with the Tigers, Boise State, and talk about memory lane and our age. But 19 years ago, we had an amazing situation there, and talk about conference realignment. In the 2003 AutoZone Liberty Bowl game, remember we had Utah, who was the champion of the Mountain West Conference, and Urban Meyer and Dan Mullen were the coaches. But then the next year they won the title again, and so we worked a kind of a fancy arrangement where we traded Utah, rather than them coming 2 years in a row, to the Fiesta Bowl, where they won that game out there, because Boise State was just emerging as the new darling of the football world. They were undefeated, ranked high. They had never played a game, regular season, bowl game, or anything east of the Mississippi River. So we worked hard, and we were able to bring in Boise State. It was their first trip here, and of course this Saturday will be their second trip stadium. But those fans that were at that game will remember it was one of the most memorable games ever. It was ranked, ESPN declared it an instant classic. Louisville had only lost one game the entire year. They were ranked. They had only lost at Miami, who was like number one at the time, and Boise State came in undefeated. Those were only 11 games there. They were 11-0, and so that game turned out it was 44-40 with Louisville winning the last few plays. And at that time, it was. I was looking back. It was the seventh most viewed bowl game in the history of ESPN, and it was, I think, the second most watched game of the entire bowl season that year. So the folks that were there may remember that game. Little Richard was pounding away at halftime. We always honor a musical star there at halftime. And the real key now, and you pointed this out, David, that Boise State's coach now,
Andy
wonderful
Avalos.
guy named Andy Avalos, and you had pointed out that he had a 92-yard interception return. He was a defensive back. And he was named, I'm looking here at the history, that he was named Boise State's outstanding defensive player. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl gives an outstanding offensive and defensive player to each team. So even though they lost 44-40, Andy Avalos was the star defensive player of the game, and now he's returning here. and I look for a really fun game. And those folks that were there 19 years ago, come back out and see Andy Avalos returning. So it's kind of cool that we have Boise State for the second time coming back to visit Memphis, Tennessee.
Here's a little fun fact, too. Andy Avalos on that 90, what did you say it was? I know it was a pick six. How many yards?
92.
92-yard pick six. That was his last play as a college player. How about that? That is a good way to end your collegiate career. And, of course, now he is the head coach of the Boise State Broncos, and they'll be here. All right, let me ask you a little bit about your game and all of the possible combinations that all of the Jerry Palms and the ESPN experts when they project games out. I've seen in your game on the SEC side, Ole Miss, Auburn, Kentucky. That'll be all right. I've seen on the Big 12 side, Iowa State, UCF, Cincy. I believe West Virginia's been in there. What are your favorite matchups?
Well, one of the ones that you mentioned, and you're right, every week we publish the list of the most credible because that's one of the most interesting items that fans follow all over the country is projection because fans are trying to make their plans and where will our team go. And so we certainly follow that very closely. And usually we get pretty close there, especially later in the season. But you had it right. Right now there's so many possibilities, and especially with the expansion of the Big 12, you've got all those new teams. So I'm just looking at a list here that one ESPN guy picks TCU, another picks Kansas. Now, they were still, since we were just in Missouri last week, they're still trying to put together the Missouri versus Kansas, the old border war game, even though we had normally.
I don't know. Missouri doesn't want to come play in Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, seems to me. They paid $1 million not to.
Yeah, well, they came here to play in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl 3-4 years ago when they played Oklahoma State. So, but I hear what you're saying. I know that would may be a far-fetched thing, especially because Kansas was here last year. But I'm looking at the chart, so they've got, as you mentioned, out of the Big 12, you've got West Virginia, and then one game that I think might be real interesting in CBS Sports, I think this is Jerry Palms because he writes for the CBS Sports.
Right, that's right.
Is Auburn versus UCF because that would be for the fan bases of those two schools. Gus Malzahn back against his old school at Auburn, and we have not had Auburn since Bo Jackson days. So it would be that I think would be pretty interesting. Here's another one. 247 Sports has got Tennessee versus BYU. BYU has played here twice over the years, back when they were champions of the Mountain West.
And they play offense there, buddy, let me tell you. That Arkansas game was pretty good.
Yes, and so it's pretty wide open, and as I say, we're pleased that there are 4 more teams in the Big 12 giving more selection opportunity, and I think the new teams to be able to play against an SEC team, for example, BYU we just mentioned, or UCF getting a chance to play against an SEC team. Remember, we had that famous matchup with UCF against Mississippi State when we had that great close game when went down to the wire, and so there's some really good opportunities for us this year for December 29th. Again, a sneaky good team might be West Virginia there that we'll keep a close watch on. They were here about 5 years ago.
Yeah, we got a long way to go. We're only a quarter of the way through the season. Thank you, my friend.
But we appreciate that, and hopefully the fans will turn. When Boise State was here, and it was quite unique then. Nobody knew much about Boise State, but remember Lee Corso, my friend there, he said, well, what a great matchup. You get 2 top 10 teams. So we did a lot of maneuvering to have undefeated Boise State here. So that was their last trip here. So should be a great game on Saturday.
No doubt about it. Thank you, Steve. We appreciate it. We'll see you at Simmons Bank. That's our guy, Steve Arrett from the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. He's brought to you by the good folks at Grind City, all Memphis, just like Steve has become. Grind City was the sort of the dream of a father and son. They wanted to take care of beerness in Memphis, and my gosh, have they ever done that with their most famous product? Probably the Pilsner that everybody loves. It's just what the doctor ordered. Poppy's Pills. That's their number one seller. But folks love the Pale Ale. That's the God Hopper. The new Thaddeus Amber Lager's a big seller. And there's a Blue Moon type of Belgian-style wheat ale they call the Belga. I call it good. That is for sure. I love Tiger Tail, the craft malt liquor. All these are a taste of Memphis. The brewery is beautiful, just north of downtown. You can see with the picnic tables they've got set up on this green expanse, the bridge. It just is a cool setting. The brewery itself is amazing. Get your products there, or you can get them anywhere around town. Grind City, a real taste of Memphis. And, of course, our title sponsor, you know that's Homer. Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. The parking lots are packed with brand new product. New Genesis cars, new Hyundais. I'm a Santa Fe guy myself. I think we've got 3 of them in our family. We are a 4 Hyundai car family. Yes, we believe in the product. We've gotten them all from Homer Skelton Hyundai. And here's the thing about Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Craft Road, first exit Mississippi, off Highway 78, which is Lamar. And by the way, that highway is now very quick. All the lanes are good. There's still another underpass to go in, but one's there. I mean, it's easy to get to. You get there in 10 minutes now. And one thing about the experience is it's so easy. Their customer retention is outstanding. All you got to do is get there. Go see my friend Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai. We'll be joined by our good buddy, that's Stats Northern Resortity. He comes your way in a matter of moments.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Memphis football is home Saturday, September 30th as they face off against traditional power Boise State at 3. We celebrate D'Angelo Williams and the entire 2003 Memphis Tigers. It's also Kids Day. We have balloon artists, inflatables, special poster making stations, and more for kids of all ages. Tickets start at just $20 to witness 901's team in action. Be there Saturday, September 30th at 3 o'clock. Purchase your tickets today at GoTigersGoTix.com.
Wow, I feel good shopping at DriveMax. DriveMax, you get value.
Need a car that screams I feel good? DriveMax has it all. From cars to SUVs, find a tightly inspected used car that'll have you dancing all the way home. Call 901-664-2424 or visit DriveMaxApproval.com.
DriveMax, I got approved.
Fall into a hiring spree with Indeed. Their end-to-end hiring solution makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Sponsor a job and instantly receive a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawald Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawald is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Lonely feeling deep inside. Find a corner where I can hide.
Welcome back in. No Guess Who for you. No Guess Who. Who's on the equipment on the other side somewhere, probably in Forest City, Arkansas. Our friend Brett Norsworthy. You listen to him every afternoon, 3 to 6. He and Bryant with Sports Time. Good morning to you. You've survived the Alabama game, the trip to Tuscaloosa, which I know you love because you've been there many, many times. I know you didn't love the outcome here. It was a good game for a while, but Alabama just wore them down, a little like, I guess, the way the Tigers were worn down by Missouri. Good morning.
Yeah, I said there were good morning, Dave. There were 3 area close losses last weekend. The Tigers against the Tigers in St. Louis, Ole Miss against Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and Arkansas on the road at LSU. And the difference in all 3 of those games is the other team just had a few more players. They are, and in some cases, a lot more. And in two of those 3, they were distinctly at home, and one had a home field advantage, even though it was not being played on campus. And that was the game you attended. But Alabama, it's still Alabama. That running game got going in the second half with, I thought, great halftime adjustments offensively and defensively by Alabama. And their defense, I think, is as good as maybe any as they've had the last few years, especially the back 7 or 8. The front's not it's not overwhelming. It's good, but it's not overwhelming. LSU's front is better, but the Alabama linebackers and secondary, I think, probably are the tops in the league.
So you go from Bama to LSU this week.
Yep.
Of course, you've got it in Oxford. That's life in
Arkansas next week.
The SEC, and in particular the SEC West, which will not be the way this thing is set up here in the near future. But what a back-to-back. It's only a 2.5-point line, which I was a little surprised at, considering I know LSU got spanked a little bit by Florida State in the opening game, but they appear to be a pretty darn good team. What's your gut feel, your first impression of what those Tigers are like?
Well, they're really good. The fourth quarter of FSU notwithstanding, but what Jaden Daniels is doing, he's off to his touchdown interception. It's 12-2 now. He finished last year 17-5 touchdowns to interceptions, so he's about to eclipse his 2022 total when he was quarterbacking the Western Division champions of the SEC last year. He's already about to top that. So Ole Miss is going to see a lot better quarterback play this week than it did last week, because Jalen Milroe was really just mostly one-dimensional. He did hit some good passes after the run, got it loosened up a little. But the Alabama wide receivers, while talented, are very young. They're still waiting for them to emerge. I think LSU's wide receivers are better than Alabama wide receivers, notably Malik Neighbors.
So this will be tough, obviously.
Real tough.
And Blake Topmeyer, who is USA Today's SEC writer, does a good job, has facts that he uses at his command. He has taken some shots at Lane Kiffin. One was because he took a shot, Lane Kiffin did, at one of the writers in Alabama who said he was going to go to Auburn last year. Do you think...
That was the TV reporter in Columbus,
TV
Mississippi,
reporter.
John Sokoloff.
Oh, okay. Is there a is there a media prejudice sort of against Lane Kiffin, do you think?
I don't think so. Now, John Sokoloff, in the end, did he go to Auburn? No. So John Sokoloff was wrong in his reporting.
Right. But Kiffin took a shot at him. Topmeyer, I guess, was defending his guy.
I don't know
fair?
the relationship.
Okay.
I don't know Blake Topmeyer or John Sokoloff.
Okay. I thought it was interesting, and he, I guess Lane Kiffin against some of the SEC teams in the last 6-7 games has not produced. There's no pressure on him. The guy just signed a contract extension, using Auburn interest to solidify his security at Ole Miss.
He's done a great job at Ole Miss. He's 26-14. That's 40 games. In the 40 games prior to him being hired, Ole Miss was 17-23. Same thing for Sam Pittman at Arkansas, and he's had a rough and tumble week with the media, and he's closed out his Twitter account, whatever. He's 21-19. In the 40 games prior to Sam Pittman at Arkansas, they were 10-30.
Yeah. Sam Pittman, that was interesting, too, that Sam Pittman, I mean, he came out and he's upset about social media. I mean, really upset.
He did the best thing you need to do, though. Get off of it.
Honestly,
because it's utter garbage.
I thought it was pretty amazing that he just came out. And the thing I like about Sam Pittman, win or lose, he always shows up and he always basically tells it the way he sees it, which is usually darn accurate.
And he's done Arkansas a really good job. People need to remember where both of those jobs, where they stood before Lane Kiffin and Sam Pittman were hired.
A&M, by the way, 6.5-point favorite at Arkansas.
No, it's in Dallas.
It's in Dallas.
AT&T Stadium.
I'm sorry.
At Arlington.
Why
goes back to
they play that
next year.
They play that game on a neutral all the time, don't they?
Well, they have for the last number of years. It started as the Southwest Classic when Texas A&M was still part of the Big 12, but this year will end it. It will go to campus after this year.
Is A&M that good? Should they be 6.5-point favorites on a neutral?
I think a lot of it is the wear and tear of Arkansas the last 2 weeks, playing and losing close games to BYU and LSU. They arguably could be 4-0, but they're not. They're 2-2, and the stretch just continues to get difficult for them. A&M in the neutral, that's pretty 50-50. There's a big Razorback presence. Then next week at Oxford for Arkansas, and then the week after that at Tuscaloosa, and then the week after that they get Mississippi State at home before finally getting to the open date. In the preseason, everybody knew this stretch would be tough. And then coming out of the open date, they go to Gainesville to play Florida. It just does not get easy for them. I mean, they can't wait till they see Florida International for homecoming in late November.
In those two close losses that you just mentioned, if I recall correctly, one of their better weapons, let's face it, Jefferson is their key, but their best running back, Rocket Sanders, he hasn't played, correct?
He only has 42 yards for the season. Very limited duties opening day against Western Carolina in Little Rock. I think he had 14 carries that day, had 2 receptions, so only 16 touches all year for Rocket Sanders. And they've been saying every week that, they're getting closer, and just see if he can go any at A&M, and probably will be good to go by the time they come to Oxford.
Missouri is at Vanderbilt. That game is the Tigers of Missouri 13.5-point favorites, even though it's on the road in Nashville. The Tigers are now a top 25 team after defeating the Memphis Tigers. That line's a little surprising. I think Missouri is a little surprising. Would you now figure they're a little bit better than most people thought in the preseason polls?
I think probably the most, but I had them 4-0 to this point. I had them 5-0 after this game against Vanderbilt. But this is a really trap game for them. Last week, kind of the emotion of going on kind of on the road in St. Louis, and next week they've really had LSU on campus in Columbia circled for a while. That's the one they've been pointed to. They better take care of business against Vandy. This is 2 good quarterbacks matched up against each other Saturday in Nashville between Cook and Swan.
Cook is really good. He hit his first 13.
A.J. Swan's good.
First 13 against the Tigers, and he's got.
And I don't know how great top to bottom, and rather bottom up to top, that the SEC really is this year at quarterback. I think Daniels is all that. I think Cook's good. Swan's good. We're waiting on Leary to do something. I think K.J. Jefferson's good. Dart can have his moments. Will Rogers can have his moments. Joe Milton can have his moments, but Joe Milton only a 62% completion rate so far this year. Spencer Rattler can run hot and cold. We're waiting for Georgia to have some competition. I don't know how great the quarterback play is right now. It may be by the end of the year, but right now in Alabama is as deficient at quarterback as they've been in the Nick Saban era.
I'll just say this, firsthand viewing in person, not necessarily TV, the best quarterback I've seen so far this year is Cook. No doubt about it. He found open guys, and they've got a great target. I think a guy that'll be in the NFL in Luther Burden. I'll be really interested in seeing how Missouri plays the rest of the way. By the way, since we're mentioning Vandy, how about Ryan Silverfield coming out and say, let's play in a neutral in Nashville. Vandy will play in the Titan Stadium and we'll play you guys. And, Clark Lee didn't dismiss that yesterday when he responded.
Clark Lee's dad is Memphian, played high school at Central High School, and then went to Nashville and played at Vanderbilt, became a prominent physician there, and was for a long time either the team doctor for Vanderbilt football or for the AAA baseball. He may have did both, but so there's ties with Clark Lee. But I wish the Memphis Tigers would really get on their soapbox about playing the University of Tennessee somewhere in football.
They've gotten on the soapbox, and Tennessee has responded. They won't take their calls. They won't take their calls. That's the truth. So I guess the next target would be Vandy, because it's pretty clear Tennessee will not play the University of Memphis, which gets me.
Even with a basketball connection, Tennessee is won't take calls.
Well, yeah, they won't. And Rick Barnes isn't all that interested in playing Memphis while Penny's the head coach either. So that is a relationship that is pretty fractured, I would have to say, at this moment. It is. It's terrible. Speaking of the Vols, should they be 12.5-point favorites at home against South Carolina?
I don't think so in that game because of Spencer Rattler. Let's see if it's hot or cold. It's often trick or treat with him, but I think on paper, they have the better quarterback going into this game. And Shane Beamer gets up for this game, did last year, was part of Philip Fulmer's staff in the first decade of the 21st century there. It means a lot to him. And this week in the SEC, only 7 games. It's all SEC against SEC. Right. One of only 2 weekends all year that's like that. And it's fork in the road for a lot of teams. You look at Kentucky, that 4-0, if they blow it against Florida, they haven't won 3 straight over Florida since winning 4 straight in the late 40s, early 50s when Bear Bryant was coach there. We're going to see a little more out of Georgia. We talked about Arkansas and A&M. LSU and Ole Miss, same thing. And even for Mississippi State to try to pull the upset over Alabama, because Alabama, I don't know how gettable they are, but this is the most vulnerable they've been in a while.
Well, Florida at Kentucky is the closest by the Vegas guys on 1.5-point line in favor of the Wildcats. So they're all intriguing games in my mind for sure. Let me switch gears. Last thing, we're talking with Brett Norsworthy. You'll listen to him 3 to 6 starting this afternoon if you're already not addicted to sports time. The one distraction for you during football season happens every 2 years. It happens this weekend. It's the Ryder Cup. You know the history. You know the games that are going to go on. You know the players that are participating. Explain to me with your vast knowledge, Mr. Norsworthy, how the heck are the Americans favored in this? You know I want America to win. You know how much I love golf. I can't figure it out. How is Team USA in Italy, haven't won a road Ryder Cup match tournament in 30 years, how are the Americans favored in this setup?
I don't know how they're favored. You would have to see it done at least once before you think it can be done. It's been 30 years playing with Persimmon Club. Jim Gallagher was part of that team in 1993 at the Belfry. Tom Watson was captain. That was a fortunate win. That was a bloodletting to get that win, and it's been nothing since then. Tiger Woods played on one winning Ryder Cup team, and that was the Freak Show in '99 at Brookline. Yep. I think the team room has gotten better post-Tiger and post-Phil.
Well, what Phil did with Tom Watson
was disgraceful.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of our sort of our peak in
now
the
we
way
think
Mickelson
he may have had a little jack on it. That's why he was so mad.
Maybe so. I just look at the lineups. You look at the top 6 that forget the captain's picks, and I still don't get Justin Thomas. Hopefully he does well. But you look at the top 6 that qualified.
That's why he's on it.
There's no doubt that the better players are the European players. And I hate to say it, the best American players faded down the stretch, in particular Scotty Scheffler.
And haven't played in a while. The Tour Championships, it's moved on since they've been in the heat of competition.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Thank you, my friend. We'll be listening at 3, and I know we won't talk next week, but we will the week after that.
You bet, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you. That is our friend Brett Norsworthy from Sports Time right here on Sports 56. All brought to you in part by the good folks at Memphis City Golf. Brett loves golf. We just talked about that. I don't know if he's played the new Pine Hill. He needs to. He needs to go check out Overton Park. Overton Park is so unique. And I tip my cap and I salute the nonprofit group that decided they wanted to do something special with Overton Park. And you have to understand the history that goes way back to the 1920s in this town. That's when Overton Park was built, about the same time that they were building Memphis Country Club. So that's how far the roots go. And I mentioned Pine Hill and the new Pine Hill and how it's been redone. We should recognize on a regular basis that was the first golf course that was an integrated golf course. It was for everybody to play. And everybody does go and play that new golf course. And if you haven't seen it yet, you've got to get there. Memphis City Golf. Memphis realized great cities have amenities, and the amenity of golf now in Memphis, especially with the new Audubon being built, the city has really been wise, and they have done a great job on City Golf. And I should point out, if you are going to get a tee time, you got to go to MemphisPublicLinks.com. That's the quickest and easiest way to secure your tee time. We go to Baton Rouge in just a minute. More SEC on the docket with our historian, Ron Higgins. He's next.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
It's time to go where the season takes you, and it's the season for savings at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Go for miles more with 43 MPG Highway in your 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. $17,815 or $229 a month. 2024 Eclipse Cross eludes sleek and sporty style at $29,695 or $399 a month. Discover the new 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander SUV with third row and 7-passenger seating. Now $29,885 or $449 a month. And they're all equipped with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. We're ready to put you in a new ride today at Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 84 months. Mirage RH 00782 MSRP 18315. Eclipse RZ 001693 MSRP 30445. Outlander RZ 005762 MSRP 31385. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
It doesn't matter if you're at the lake, if you're hunting, fishing, playing golf, or just playing around, Scooters Plus can hook you up with the mobility that you need. Scooters Plus has the largest vehicle and parts inventory in the Mid-South and the best service department. You can choose from ATVs, UTVs, golf carts, motorcycles, dirt bikes, trikes, scooters, and even electric bikes. Come in today to start or wrap up your holiday shopping with 25% down on Christmas layaways. Scooters Plus, 3425 Summer Avenue. Call Sam at 458-8843 or go online to scootersplus.us.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Ready for a new ride? We Gossett covered at Gossett Kia on the Pike. 41 MPG Highway, we Gossett with 2023 Kia Forte LXS. $229 a month, $29.99 to its signing. Get some EV action in 2023 Nero EV Wind SUV. 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 to its signing. Plus, check out 2023 Kia EV6 Wind. Get up to 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 to its signing. And Gossett will include a free charger with your EV purchase, all 36-month leases, plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He's ready to put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678605, MSRP 21610, Nero P507859, MSRP 41090, EV6, P561964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details, offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit, dealer stock only. As the leaves change, leave the hiring to Indeed. Their all-in-one hiring platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates, all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
By the way, I was mentioning golf. maybe the most historic golf course in Memphis. That would be Colonial South. On Friday, 1 o'clock, Bobby Cochran will hit the ceremonial first tee as they reopen the new spruced-up Colonial. And Bobby's going to join us. I believe that is going to be tomorrow morning to talk about the new Colonial. That will come your way at about 10:15. In the meantime, down to Baton Rouge we shall go. Our friend, SEC historian Ron Higgins joins us now. Good morning, Ron. You'll be in Oxford. That should be a whale of a game. Tell me what you think will happen Saturday at Vaught Hemingway.
Well, I mean, LSU's been playing really well offensively. Ole Miss hasn't, but I always expect Ole Miss to play better than they have. I'm just kind of puzzled by Ole Miss's running game, honestly. They've been running the ball so well last year, and it's kind of deserted them. LSU's defense was awful last week. Couldn't stop Arkansas, really. LSU's secondary is pretty bad. Their front seven is pretty good. But the secondary is not very good at all. So I'm just kind of interested to see what will happen, knowing that give Jackson Dart some time. He can make some good throws and they have some good receivers. But LSU's offense has been pretty unstoppable for the most part. They got nothing on their first 3 possessions last week against Arkansas. They scored on their last 6 possessions. I think they scored it's 23 of their last 29 possessions, and probably 20 of them have been touchdowns. So
wow, 20 of their last 29 possessions have resulted in 6 points.
Yeah, I think about 20. Yeah. So they put some points up now. I mean, they've got a lot of weapons. Offensive line starting to block a lot better. They got really good receivers. They got about 3 or 4 good running backs. Daniels has vastly improved as a quarterback. So I almost think LSU feels like, because their defense still is so suspect, that they really have to just outscore people. They have to put up 40, 45 a game to feel comfortable about winning. And I think that every week that's what they think they have to do, really, is score in at least 30 in the mid-30s to 40, around maybe more, because again, their defensive backs have not been very good. I mean, they're transfers for the second straight year. Brian Kelly's recruited some freshmen who are not really ready yet, and it's a problem. It really is. I mean, they lost, their veteran safety, Greg Brooks, 2 weeks ago, probably for the season. He underwent brain surgery to remove a tumor, and everybody's hoping that turns out well. But it's been tough for the secondary. And so the offense is on them to carry them, and they certainly did last week. Like, they knew Arkansas was going to be a tough game. It always is. KJ Jefferson is probably the best I've ever seen him play. And, they had every chance to win that game. LSU had the ball last. That's what wanted. LSU had the ball last.
So what you know now, taking in both sides of the ball and obviously the weaknesses on the LSU defense, if you were repicking who's going to win the SEC West, who would it be?
I still give LSU a pretty good shot.
Okay.
I still think they're in there. I think LSU, Alabama, and I never really trust Texas A&M. I probably still don't, because their quarterback just got hurt. They just switched to Max Johnson, LSU's old quarterback.
Right.
A&M could lose this week to Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas played well last week.
Right.
They really did. Defensively, they're not very good, but LSU is that good offensively. I think LSU is better offensively than A&M is. I mean, LSU has the best offensive numbers in the league. But I think I wouldn't. I mean, Alabama got picked in the preseason number 1, and they're still ranked ahead of LSU in the polls, and that's good for LSU. Kind of gives them a little bit of motivation.
I would say, in my mind, the biggest surprise of the year until they beat Tennessee was Florida's total ineptness and Billy Napier on a hot seat. I'd have to say now, if I were looking at a biggest surprise, it might be Missouri. I think Missouri is a lot better than I thought they were going to be after I watched them personally.
Yeah, and LSU's got them next week in Missouri. These next 2 weeks for LSU's only 2 weeks of the year. They're on the road for 2 straight weeks. So this is a key swing for them. to play at Ole Miss, a place it's hard to play at, and play Missouri, a place they lost at in 2020. LSU's defense was a mess, and their offense was not quite developed. And LSU's quarterback got hurt that game, finished the game, and it finished his career. He never really played again. So this is a tough swing for LSU this week and next week. Then they have Auburn at home, and then they play Army in a week off, and they start their stretch run against Alabama and Tuscaloosa. So these are key 2 swing weeks for LSU.
Going to be a lot of fun to watch. All right, let me switch gears real quick. I know yesterday the LSU women, many picked to repeat as national champions. They had a media day. Kim Mulkey let everybody know she had some sort of a heart procedure done in the past year. She is one heck of a coach. There's no doubt about it. Now she's done incredibly well wherever she's coached.
Yeah, she really has. I think she's averaged almost like 30 wins a season, which is just ridiculous. She's about to. I think she's about to win her 700th game. Won back-to-back Final Fours in national championships as a player at Louisiana Tech. Almost won 3. Won 1 as an assistant at Louisiana Tech. Won 3 at Baylor as head coach, and won 1 last year at LSU. She's just. Kids want to play for her because she's very passionate about the way she coaches. All these kids know she has their back in games. I mean, she's probably the most animated of all coaches with officials, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, it gets the crowd in the game, and she'll get to her. And her players understand that. I've seen her coach in practice. She reminds me a lot of Pat Summitt, the way she coaches in practice.
Well, I think she's in the league with Summitt and Gino Auriemma, probably Jody Conrad back at Texas, Leon Barmore at Louisiana Tech when they were like AIAW. I mean, those are the giants. I think she's in that grouping.
Yeah, and she's got a team with a lot of big personalities, and she lets them be themselves. But they also understand they better produce on the court and don't do anything to hurt the team on the court by being a big personality. But she's got 3 players who are among the top 6 ranked male, women, and female college athletes in NIL money evaluations.
You know what? I want to talk about this next week. LSU has figured out the NIL market. They bought a baseball championship, the highest paid baseball team. Now they're doing it with women's basketball. Of course, she's the highest paid women's basketball coach. You guys have cornered the market on that. We're going to talk about it next week. Thank you, Ron. Have fun in Oxford on Saturday. It should be a great atmosphere.
Be a great game as always. Thanks, Wolo.
You got it. That's our historian, our SEC historian. That is Ron Higgins. He's brought to you by Dinstall's. Another taste of Memphis. You could say the sweetest taste of Memphis. And caramel apple season is here. All the favorites. You can go the classic, just fresh caramel. A lot of people just like it with caramel. I kind of like it with caramel and pecans. Now, you can add caramel and chocolate and pecans. That's pretty interesting. Call that the ultimate turtle. And then you could go even a step further and add cashew crunch. That's wild. Nobody has cashew crunch. That's a twist. That's the most unique, maybe signature of Dinstall's. But their caramel's so good, their chocolate's so good. You just can't beat it. Caramel apples, you can get it everywhere. They're all open now. All the stores are open. The remodeled Laurelwood, where they make it on Pleasant View, Germantown, Collierville, the little store downtown that is so charming. Dinstall's is everywhere, and caramel apples are now in season. That'll do it for us. Big show again tomorrow. We'll start with Bobby Cochran, and we'll go from there. Johnny Radio's next, so don't go anywhere. Have a great day, everyone. Homer Skelton.